So I made 50 consecutive artworks this year, and this is kind of like a celebratory artwork that I did. You know, it's a motion picture of a golden coin with an engraving of a 50 text and some olive leaves rotating. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make this motion graphic, and also as a bonus, I will be showing you how to make this grungy gold material. So stick around till the end. Yeah, and I hope you like this. So we are in Blender now, and let's start with the material, since obviously that's the major part of this tutorial. I'm just gonna add in an icosphere, add in like 5 subdivisions to it, and also enable this. Cool. Now I'm gonna shade it smooth, and let's go into the shading. All right, and I'm gonna be adding in an environment texture. Should be here. I should have a 2K texture over here, and I'll switch to cycles so that it just renders faster. All right, so now I'm gonna add in a new material, and the most obvious thing for gold is that the gold is a metal, and gold has a gold color like this, right? So we are gonna be developing that grungy look on top of this. So first we need some noise to disturb this, to create that bumpiness on the surface. So I'm going to be adding in a noise texture, and change it to object, because I don't want to be UV unwrapping a procedural material. And let's preview this, and this feels like a little too much to me, so I'm going to reduce this to something like 1, and I want to crank up the detail to the maximum, and I'm going to bring up the roughness too. Notice that when I bring up the roughness, it gets a lot more what do you say, grainy, and without any roughness it just gets all blurred out, and you can see that. So somewhere like 0.7 should be fine, and I'm gonna run this in through a bump node, and it should look too strong, so I'm gonna reduce it to something like 0.15. I actually have it written down here so I don't forget the node setups. I'm not so great with node setups. Cool. Let's plug this into the normal, and if you preview this, you should have something like this. But right now it just feels a little too uniform, and the noise is everywhere, and we don't want the noise everywhere. We just want it to be grunging a selective few areas. So we're going to be adding in a color ramp, and now we can kind of control where the noise appears and where it does not appear. So yeah, something like so things, we don't want a lot of black, but we just want something like a grayish thing here and there to kind of look nice. So now if you preview the bump node, you can see that we have these the noise only in these selective areas, and you can always adjust this as you like. So now if you preview this, you can see that it looks nice. But now you can see that we have this noise over here, but the rest of the areas are too smooth, right? So we need more noise, but we need a different kind of looking noise to provide the entire material a different texture and not just the grunge. So I'm going to duplicate this noise, plug in the same coordinates, and for this one it's good. I mean, everything looks pretty good, only that I'm going to bring down the detail, and maybe bring up the roughness, have this fine grain kind of look, and we need to mix this noise texture with this bump node. And how do you do it? Well, to do that you have to add in another bump node, and you have to plug this into this. So right now if you preview this, it should look like this, which looks kind of cool. Too strong though, so we can bring it down to 0.1 maybe, and you can see that how it gives this kind of texture. And to combine this with this, you just have to plug in the normal with the normal of this one, and now if you preview this one, you can see that we have these big dented parts as well as the texture on the overall material. So now if you look at this, it should look pretty cool. Now the roughness does not look right, so I'm gonna add in another color ramp over here, and I don't care about this one. This is the noise whose roughness we need to worry about. So I'm gonna plug this into this, and I'm just gonna kind of crank the blacks up. Just remember that black means it's reflective and white means it's not reflective. And I'm just gonna crank it up like that, and I'm gonna plug that into the roughness. If you preview this, it should look something like this, which kind of looks like a kind of polished but worn out gold kind of thing. The more blacks you increase, the more shiny it's gonna look. The more black you reduce, the more kind of like the surface of the gold is worn out without polishing. That's how it's gonna look. So I'm kind of happy with this. The only thing that we need to fix right now is the color, because if gold is getting dented, I mean if it's like an old gold kind of material, then it's supposed to have some blackening to it. Gold, silver, all these things get black if they're not maintained. So I'm going to add in another color ramp. I'm going to plug the same thing in, and I'm gonna increase the blacks because we need the blacks obviously. And the whites, just gonna change it to a nice gold color like this. Yeah, this looks pretty good to me. I hope that's gold. Alright, this goes in the principal BSTF, and that's a 2. That's too much. Yikes, that's too much. We're just gonna have to increase the golds. And there you go. You can see that now we have this kind of a dented look, and you can control the amount of grunge you get with this slider, which is pretty cool. So I'm happy with this. So this is the gold material that we'll be using. I'm just gonna name this gold. Cool. All right. So the next thing that we are gonna do is make sure that you save the file, because if you don't save the file, Blender is known to crash, especially Blender 2.9. Alright, so the next thing that we need to do is actually make our coin, right? We're gonna make our coin and animate it. So let's delete this. We've made the material. So the coin is gonna be a cylinder, because you can use a circle too, but I just find the cylinder to be a lot more convenient to work with. So let's scale it down like this. Depends on how thick you want the cylinder to be. Let's shade it smooth. You should get this kind of weird shading, and in order to fix that, go into this object data properties and enable auto smooth under the normals, and this basically smooths it a little more properly based on the angle of the object's geometry. Cool. Now the only thing that matters is how you design your coin, because different people would like different designs of coins. So I'm just gonna apply the scale first, and kind of like select this part and this part, and I'm gonna make like an inset over here, one inset, and make another inset like this, and kind of select these two lines, these two line of faces. I'm gonna use this cool tool called extrude along normals, and I might just kind of I'm just kind of extrude them like this, just to create a little bump on the surface of the coin. And then I might kind of add like some geometry along, some kind of like a steppy shape along the edges, along the sides. I just think it looks cool. So I can make like 2, 3. Yeah, this looks cool. So I'm gonna select this and this, and I'm just gonna go into top view, and no, not top view, side actually. I'm gonna hit E once and right click to cancel it, and I'm gonna scale it down like this. So this just I just kind of like this look. I don't know why, but I just like it. And make sure my scale is 1. Cool. Next thing I'm gonna do is add in like a subsurf to it. So I've added in like a subsurf modifier to it. The shortcut to adding a subsurf modifier is Control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The Now the number pad one, the numbers on the top of your keyboard, right? So that's the shortcut to add in a subsurf. So you do that, you get a subsurf modifier there. Another way to do it is to actually add a subsurf modifier from here. And now the only thing that's left is to sharpen the edges. And I'm a little lazy. I don't like adding all this proximity loops and stuff, I just don't like it. So I'm just gonna be lazy and show you a cool trick. So I'm gonna select one edge. I mean, actually don't have to have anything selected, but okay. I'm gonna select sharp edges, and all of these are selected. And now I'm gonna give these a mean bevel weight. All right, so I'm gonna give this like a 0.005 mean bevel weight. Actually, let me show this to you. I'm gonna have all these. I'm gonna add in a bevel modifier first. Make sure that your bevel modifier is above the subsurf modifier. And right now it should look a little jaggedy. That's because the bevel is kind of beveling all the edges, and we don't want that. Change the limit method to weight, and right now you should see that there is no bevel modifier at all, because we have not assigned any weight telling the bevel modifier to bevel only these edges, right? So now we already have our edges selected, so we're gonna hit give this a mean bevel weight. The problem with this is 0 means there's no bevel, but if you go to something like 1, it also kind of looks like there's not much bevel going on. So you just need to find a nice middle ground between 0 and 1. I find that 0.005 gives the best amount of bevel, and you can instantly see that it's a lot more bevel than what we had at 1. And the best thing about this is it's not destructive. So if you want to change the number of segments, you can change it. If you're adding those proximity loops, well, then you would be going for 3 segments, and you can kind of control the amount of bevel you get. So it's a cool trick. I think something like 0.5 is great. Yeah, I think this is great. What do you think? Great, right? The scale is 1, so we don't have to worry about this. Make sure that your scale is always 1 before you add in the bevel modifier, else the bevel is gonna work in weird ways. Cool. The next thing that we have to do is obviously add in our gold material. Which one is it? I think this is the one that we made. So if you preview this right now, you should see that our coin looks like this. This is the material that we made. This is the original material that I used for my tutorial, I mean my motion graphic, and you can see that there's actually not much difference when it comes to the texture. It's just that the color changed. My original material is a lot more golder than what we did, but you get it, you know what to do. Cool. The next thing that we need to worry about is the engraving on the coin, and this is something that a lot of people don't do properly. I mean, yeah, one of the ways that you can get good engraving on your coin is to actually sculpt it. But yeah, I know people who use like alpha masks and just sculpt it, but uh, for one thing, I don't know to sculpt. I'm too lazy to sculpt. For another thing, it's a lot of geometry to deal with, and like I said, I'm lazy. So I like to do another method, which is by using bump maps. Normal maps and bump maps, you find them all over my images and videos. So the thing is, we need to actually make a bump map, and in order to make a bump map, you need to understand how a bump map works, right? So how a bump map works is that there are 2 colors, so black and white. All right, I mean, there are actually 3 colors, black, gray, and white, but let's not include gray. Let's just talk about black and white. So we already know what black and white do with roughness, right? Because black means it's very reflective, white means it's not reflective. Similarly, when it comes to bumps, black means there is no bump, and white means there is a bump. All right, like there is a slight bump, and we'll be faking that geometry. We'll be faking the bump with a map which tells the bump node that these are the areas which you need to make a fake bump, and these are the areas where you don't have to do a fake bump. So you basically have to make a black and white mask, and this is the mask that I used for my original motion graphic. and you can see that it's really not much. It basically looks like an alpha mask, right? But you can make custom masks easily, and one good place to get nice icons for engraving is free stock websites like Pixabay, right? So you go to Pixabay and you search for something like maybe olive leaves. You search for olive leaves, and by default it should be in images, but this option called vector graphics, that is what we need. So once you go to vector graphics, you should find black and white images, I mean vectors like this. So vectors are basically images which can be scaled infinitely. Just you can think of it like that, and you can download it in the vector graphic format, which is SVG. I mean, you do have PNG formats, but SVGs are better, since PNGs are they can't be scaled infinitely, and SVGs can be scaled infinitely, because yeah, that's what they called scalable vector graphics. That's what SVGs are. So the most preferred file types for making masks is SVGs or AI, which is like an Adobe Illustrator file, and you basically take them in. And PNGs don't, I mean, PNGs are okay too, as long as they don't break in resolution. And you just put them into Photoshop or GIMP or PixArt even. You can even do this in PixArt. Don't worry that you don't have paid softwares. You always have free alternatives, right? I mean, Blender is an example for that. So if you have an Adobe Illustrator file, you can still open it in Photoshop or GIMP. I think you can open it in GIMP, but if you don't have GIMP, if it does not open in GIMP, there's a free Illustrator alternative, which is Inkscape, which is very amazing, which is really, really amazing. So yeah, you can plug that in. You can just open these files into Photoshop or GIMP or Illustrator or Inkscape or PixArt or whatever, and basically make a black and white mask. It's extremely simple and can be done in like 2 or 3 minutes maximum. I've already made a mask over here, and here's what it looks like. Yeah, you are amazing. Okay, you are amazing because you're learning Blender, so you are amazing. So this is the engraving which will be on our coin. All right, so what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna be taking the engraving and putting it in here. But in order to do that, we actually need to kind of separate the faces of the coin on which we need the engraving, because right now our coin is not UV unwrapped. So right now, let me just show you what happens if I bring in an image texture. So right now, if I bring in my image texture, which is this, you can see what it looks like, and I plug this into the base color, you can kind of see that the software does not know how to wrap it on this object. And if you look at the sides, you can see that it's incredibly stretched, and we don't want that. So we need to UV unwrap this, right? I'm actually not going to delete this, just keep it here. And given that this is a super simple object with perfect 90 degrees, UV unwrapping this is gonna be a breeze. We just have to select it, and we already have all our edges selected. Just hit Control E, mark scene, A, U, and unwrap. There you go. You just UV unwrap this, man. If you go into the UV editing tab, you can see that this is what our unwraps look like. Yeah, you might tell me that this is not an effective way to unwrap an actual object. There's like too many islands, but the thing is, we're using precision materials, and the only two things that we need is this face and this face right here. Everything else is, it doesn't even matter. All right, it's just a lazy way to UV unwrap. I mean, you can even do a smart UV project, but I just don't like using that much. A simple way to get the mask only on these faces is to actually make a new material over here, add in the same material, duplicate this, and I'm gonna call this like the engraved gold. Okay, So now we have this, and I'm gonna be selecting this face and this face, and I'm gonna in edit mode, and I'm gonna assign them to the engraved gold material. So now if I go into edit mode, you actually won't see much difference, but let's say I plug this out and change the color to something like green. You can see that only these two areas are affected, right? So yeah, that's what happens. And now what we need to do is make a bump of this mask. So make it a non-color. I mean, it doesn't matter if it were an sRGB either, because it's a black and white mask, but it's better to have it in non-color. Make another bump node, plug this into the color, and mix it with this. Cool. Now if you plug this in and preview it, nothing should be happening. That's what you think, but if you look closely, you have this kind of bump, kind of artifacting happening here, and that's because we still haven't told Blender where the texture should come on the face. So we're gonna go into UV editing, and we just have these two faces selected. I'm gonna select this face, select linked, and let's put them in the center, 0.5. In case you don't know, the origin point is this, which is 0 0, and this is 1 1 1 1. So right in the center should be 0.5. Select this fellow to make him at the center too, and now we can select both of them and just scale them up like this to fill our texture like that. Once you do that, if you go into render view over here, you can see what it looks like. You can see that, ta-da, we have made our engraving. It's super simple to do, isn't it? The only problem we have right now is that, you know, this one is facing this way, and this one is kind of inverted, kind of facing the opposite, rotated the other way, but we can correct it. But first we need to be able to see it properly, right? So I mean, this looks cool, but it would be better if the engraving were more visible. That's why I made the engraving silver in color in my original thing. So how do you do that? Take a mix RGB, plug that in here, and use this as the mask for the second color. So the second color is gonna be pure white, and it kind of looks blue to you because of the lighting, but it's actually white. All right, it's actually white. You can, if you want silver, you can kind of go like over here, doesn't matter. So head into the UV editor because we need to correct the engraving. You can see that they're kind of out of what, out of sync, out of link. I don't know what is it, guys. I don't know. Just if you guys know the word, let me know in the comment section below. Anyways, so this is the top view, and this is the bottom view. We just need to make these kind of look the same. So let's select the bottom face, and once you select the bottom face, you can see that the island over here is already selected. So all you have to do is now you just have to kind of rotate it, and you know, just compare it, and have to go the other way. Yeah, just get it as close as you can. All right. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. So that's how you know, kind of edit the UV image to match the model. So you get both the engravings looking good, right? Okay. So now you can see that we have our object. We have made this beautiful engraving. Oh, and by the way, you can see that the engraving is actually kind of, you know, what do you call it, embossed outside. If you don't want it to be embossed outside, like let's say that you want it to go inside instead of coming out, all you have to do is hit invert on this, and you can see that now it kind of goes inside and comes out. But I like it being embossed outside. It looks kind of cool. Now all that's left for us to do is the animation, right? The motion graphic. Cool. Let's set up our camera. I'm gonna add in a camera. Where is it? Camera over here. I'm gonna go into the front view and add in a camera. Yeah. Control Alt 0 to make your camera, bring your camera to the exact view that you are in. And I'm gonna switch to camera view over here, and I'm gonna render only this area because it's kind of distracting. And I want a vertical one. All right, so I'm just gonna go for something like I think I did the math over here for a 4 by 5 image. Oh, I did not. I will do the math in a second. You know, since it's a tutorial, I really don't need the full high resolution. So if I just need like I just need like 1080 to be the 4, and what will I need to find out what will be the 5. So it's gonna be like a 5 into 1080 divided by 4. Bear with me, this is a little math stuff. 5 into 1080 divided by 4, so I get 1350. So that's gonna be my resolution. So 1080 here and 1350, that's gonna be my aspect ratio. It's 4 by 5, so it's just the aspect ratio that I like to render at. I mean, almost all of my things have that ratio. I'm gonna bring it dead in the center, and 0 here. Cool. The only thing that we need to do now is, what is it with this? Okay, the only thing that we need to do now is to add in an empty. And why am I adding an empty? Because I don't want to select the coin, because adding an empty is a lot more convenient way to just do stuff, you know. So I'm just gonna rotate it like that, you know, kind of like this, maybe along the local z axis like that. So you know, you can do a lot of things. You know, you can either rotate it like this, which is what I did, or you know, you can rotate it along the local z axis like this, which is totally up to you. Now the next thing that we need to do is the background. And initially I have this sparks going on in the background. And how did I do that? I really did not use particles. You know, you just go to Pixabay. Be lazy when you can. All right, it's gonna save you a lot in the long run. Go to Pixabay and search for sparks, and they provide videos, you know, royalty free videos, which can be used for commercial purposes too. And I used one of these. I think I used this one. I'm pretty sure I used this video. So you're just gonna hit images as planes. Make sure you have the import images as planes add-on enabled. If you probably will. if you have that, just find that. You know, I should have something over here and bring it in. You know, it's pretty cool. Let's take this to a long way at the back, because we don't want our light interacting with that, and you'll see why in a second. So just scale it up like that, and go into our environment and remove all the world lighting. We don't need any world lighting at all, because we will be manually placing lights which will help us to get that shine and stuff. And we need these sparks to be visible, right? So go into the shader editor. You should have this. Just select the plane and go into the shader editor. You should have this. Just plug the color into the emission, and voila. I think I can go up to 5. You know, it just kind of looks good. And if you play the animation, you can see that these sparks kind of move. Only that it's a little slow in cycles. Yeah. You can you can always switch to EV, which is real time and pretty cool, but I just don't use EV because I'm more of a cycles guy, but it helps with setting the scene. So first and foremost, we need a light. I'm gonna use like a sunlight to be the main light source. It really doesn't matter where you place this. All that matters is your rotation. And I'm not really gonna rotate this. I'm just gonna move this over here so that it does not cause any hindrances over there. And maybe increase its strength like that. Yeah, kind of rotate this. So you can see how the light is going to interact with the sun, and we need some other lights too. So I'm going to add in like a spotlight, and I'm going to take it up here. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to kind of like place it in like in and kind of like a diagonal position, and just use this and point it at the coin like that. Change the strength to something like 60, and it should give that shine in the edges. If I disable the sun lamp, you can see what the spotlight is doing. So yeah, I just need that shine on the edges like that. There you go, that's how you do it. And I'm gonna add in like a point lamp, another point lamp. I'm gonna bring it up right here in front of the coin, and this is gonna be like a pretty big light source. It's gonna be like act like a fill light basically. Yeah, so it's kind of like a 15 should do. Gonna duplicate that light and bring it down so that it kind of creates this shine at the bottom. It's very subtle, but you can see that without it we lose detail over here. So it's going to be like that. Maybe bring it up to 20 for some better detail. Yeah, now if I press Alt H, you can bring back your sunlight, which so now you can see the effect that we're getting. It's actually pretty cool. Select this, and you can rotate this like that, and you can see what you are getting. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Anyways, I want my start frame to be somewhere over here, and as it rotates like this, you can see what it says. It says you are amazing, because you really are amazing. Cool. All that's left for us to do is to actually render it, and make a video out of it, and also add that glow. So just to add that glow, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna render it in a very low resolution, like 500. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna first let's animate it first. I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm gonna render like 250 frames are more than enough to make a seamless animation. I'm gonna select the empty and keyframe its rotation. Now how many turns do you want? That depends on you. Now let's say that I wanted to rotate 4 times, so that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's 4 times into 360 rotations. So that means that it's 360 into 4, right? 360 into 4 is what? 360. 30 into 4 is 120, so that's 1200 plus 60 into 4. 6 4s are 24, so that's 240. So 1200 plus 240, that's 1440. So you will have to go here to frame 250 and rotate the empty along the z-axis in 1440 and set a keyframe over there. I'm sorry about the math, but you just have to calculate a little when you have to do something perfectly. So and we're not going to be rendering frame 250, we're going to be rendering until 249, because the end frame and the first frame are basically the same, right? The first keyframe and the end keyframe are basically the same. I mean, obviously the empty has rotated 4 times, but still it's kind of the same. It's the same orientation. So if you have the same orientation twice, well, then your object is going to rotate very smoothly until the end, where it will stop for like maybe half a second more than the other frames in the video, and that will break the seamless infinite loop. All right. So always render one frame before, I mean render until one frame before. So yeah, that's how you do it. And also don't forget to select your keyframes and hit W or right click depending on what you're using, and change the interpolation mode to linear, or else it's going to be Bezier by default, and the object will be speeding up and slowing down at the end, and it won't look nice. I mean, unless that's the effect you're going for, it's fine, but linear just generally looks a lot more interesting. All that's left for us to do now is to add the glow on the object. That we'll be doing that in the compositor. And in order to do that, we have to actually render one frame first. So I'm going to hit F12 on my keyboard and just render one frame from this. Alright, so now my one frame is rendered. It's taking 15 seconds a frame, which is pretty good. So I'm gonna go into the compositing, and this is my compositing layout. So if you don't have that, just bring this like this, and change this to the UV editor, and change this to viewer node, and disable backdrop. And if you right click on this, you should get your viewer node over here. I mean, you can have a backdrop over here. In that case, you get your thing over here, but I just find it a lot harder to work with. So yeah, this is what I work with, the UV editor. There are times where I will need the backdrop, but I just don't use it. To add the glow in cycles, just go to filter, and you're gonna add in a glare node, and change it to fog glow. Change to fog glow, you get this. Let's bring it up a little. 9 looks good. It looks kind of interesting. I like that. I like this. Next is I'm gonna do some basic color correction over here, and just gonna bring this down in the curves and bring this up just to make it look a little more cinematic. Just adds this punchy contrast to this muted. You can see what it looks like, and unmuted, you can see what it just adds this punch to it, and which actually makes me think I can go up to 10. No, I can't. Oh, it's maximum is 9. And maybe even add in a brightness contrast in the end. Maybe bring it to 1, and bring this to 1 too. So you can see what it looks like. So this is what we started with, and this is what we are finishing with. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Just don't forget to take your last node and plug that into the composite as well, so else Blender's renderer will not composite your image before saving it. Cool. Once you're done with that, you can go over here and yeah, select your render passes. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 150 is good for video, and adaptive sampling. So check that, and let's select the same location. Alright, so now I've set it, and yeah, you would say that you could use the FFmpeg video. Obviously you could, you're rendering a video, but the problem is that there are chances of your video file getting corrupted when you use an FFmpeg video, and you can always encode it to be a an MP4 video, but there are chances of your output file getting corrupted, because I have experienced that and I know it. So I just always use PNG because it's a lot better. Once you're done with that, you can start your render, and there you go. That's what the output file looks like. Two things. I just went back and changed it from 4 rotations to 3 rotations, because 4 seemed a little too fast, so I made it 3 rotations. And another thing is I composited the images in After Effects. I mean, you can do it in Blender video sequencer too, but I just don't find the Blender's video sequencer as intuitive as the Adobe software. So I just composited them there and made them into a video. So here's what the video looks like, and it's pretty cool if you ask me. I really like this. The blend file of this project will be available on Gumroad for your reference. You can download it for free, but if you'd like to pay for it, it would help support the channel. Well, you can. It's in a pay if you want, pay what you want kind of thing. So it's over there. So that's the end of the tutorial. Learning set aside, how are you guys? How are you doing? It's been a long break for me. I was really sick for a long time and my allergies caught up. And I'm actually a little sick yet. I'm not fully recovered. And my college started and I've been having projects and assignments and stuff. And I've just been having a lot of lack of sleep lately. So yeah, I just didn't find a lot of time for YouTube. And also, since I'm making an artwork every day, and I combine that with freelance work, it just my schedule just got a lot of hella jam packed. So I couldn't really find time for YouTube. But well, I'm back now. I'm managing my time a lot better now. So my uploads will be a lot more frequent. And this is the last time I say this, I swear. um, so yeah, just if you guys would like to talk, just I've left a link to the Blender community's Discord server in the link below. So come on, join, and you guys can have fun. You can talk, ask for help, connect with people. I don't even know why I'm advertising. It's just I just like being in the server. It's a lot of fun people together. So if you guys want to talk, you can just join there and have some fun. Anyways, that's the end of the tutorial. I will go now. Have to walk my dog. So bye. I'll see you in the next one.